Sometimes when I'm developing a talk, pondering a topic, nothing happens. Such was the case this week. The harder I tried, the more I read, the more angst and frustration I felt. I went back through my computer for the last 15 years, 17 years of talks. Nothing. I read books. Nothing. Sometimes it just works that way. Generally on a Saturday evening, after I've kind of roughed out my talk, I'll listen to country music. Great break. And there's one show that usually has a little humor that I can pass on. And that's the little pause I need. And then after that's over, then I think more about my talk. Yesterday it didn't work out that way.
Oh.
Country music shows were all reruns. It made it worse. Nothing's working. So I went out in the living room and I turned on the CD player and I had a classical CD in it. And the first thing that came on was, Debbie, correct me if I'm wrong, Brindisi, Verdi's drinking song from La Traviata. I listened to it. I had an idea. I'm there in my robe. I go over, and it's been years. I made myself Jim Beam and and then I started the CD over again. Now picture this in the bathrobe with bedhead and frustration with a cocktail in my hand, waltzing and singing as loud as I could, words I didn't understand, couldn't pronounce, but having the time of my life, dancing around my living room in my bathrobe, waltzing. Sometimes you just need to rip it loose. Sometimes you just need to act silly, return to your child. And as I was dancing, that's what I'm going to talk about. Sometimes it's not like the rest of the time. Sometimes it needs to be different. For years, I have been grateful that I have a support team. I call it my D team. Not that it's any different than an A, B, or C team. It's just D team because that's what their names start with. It's my support group. Deepak, Dyer, and the Dalai Lama. And they've always been, anytime I need inspiration or direction or encouragement or have a question, I always go to my D team. But sometimes, like yesterday, I got a little miffed at the D team. I got to thinking, these guys, Dyer's passed on, but for years, they all seem to have life totally figured out, and their lives are like, wow, so cool and smooth. And I think, wow, I guess my life would be smooth too. If, like Deepak, I could just sit around and converse at a very high intellectual level with all the great philosophers and theologians in the world. And Wayne Dyer sitting on a beach for 30 years on Maui, that'd be tough. And the Dalai Lama, there's that guy. They carry a pillow around for him to sit on. He doesn't cook, it's prepared for him. He doesn't even have to feed himself. They'll feed him. They carry him from place to place. He doesn't have to work. I imagine somebody dresses him when he gets up in the morning. Sometimes I feel like that. And sometimes I wouldn't be here or anywhere else if it weren't for my D team. Going back through all of my thoughts and notes for years trying to come up with a topic. I ran across a talk I gave 2004, and it was called "If You Ain't Laughing, You Ain't Living." And I thought about that a little bit. And how true that is. How long has it been since you had a good laugh? We get caught up so much in all the frustrations and the trials and the obligations and the commitments and the drama and the challenges, health issues, money issues, relationship issues. We forget to laugh. I wish a friend of mine, Bob, was here today. I've known Bob for a few years. I don't know how old he is. He's 38, maybe 40. And he's got some real issues going on in his life. He's been worried, upset, to the point he's asked me to talk a few times. Seems that Bob has a girlfriend, a wife, and a mortgage payment, all 3 months past due. He needs a laugh. But sometimes that worry, that angst, that guilt, that's the entirely appropriate feeling you should have in response to our thoughts, words, actions, and decisions. Sometimes. And sometimes those feelings and thoughts of worry and anger and aggravation and frustration, that's the stepping stone to unlocking the door. How many times do we get caught in a cage or a cell of worry, frustration, anger? Sometimes I just want to explode when I listen to what all's going on in this world. And then I turn on Comedy Central, and a laugh unlocks the cage. Sometimes we just need to let go of where we're at. So many times in this room, there are so many situations this year where people have really had to go through some great crises in their lives. Loved ones have gone away. Health issues, relationship issues. There's so many things that each one of us has to deal with. And sometimes maybe we could just stop and be a kid. Stop and laugh. I came across something else in all my looking yesterday. I didn't want those hours and hours and hours of working to go totally to waste. I came across something that I read to you all in 2008, and I'm sure you'll remember it like it was yesterday. I'm going to read it to you, not all of it, and we're kind of running close here, but it's called Ice Cream. And I don't know where it came from. I got it from someplace, but somebody wrote this. And it starts off with, "For those who understand, no explanation is needed. For those who do not understand, no explanation is possible." The author says, "One day I had lunch with some friends. Dick Duvall, a short, balding golfer type guy, about 80 years old, came along with them. All in all, a pleasant bunch. When the menus were presented, we ordered salads, sandwiches, soups, except for Dick, who said, 'Ice cream, please, 2 scoops, chocolate.' I wasn't sure my ears heard right, and others were aghast. Along with heated apple pie," Dick added, completely unconcerned. We tried to act quite nonchalant, as if people did this all the time, but when our orders were brought out, I didn't enjoy mine. I couldn't take my eyes off of Dick's pile mode. The The other guys couldn't believe it. They ate their lunches silently and grinned. The next time I went out to eat, I called and invited Dick. I lunched on white meat tuna, and he ordered a parfait. I smiled. He asked if he amused me. I said, yes, you do, but you also confuse me. How come you order rich desserts, which I feel must be sensible? I feel I have to be sensible. He laughed. Well, I'm tasting all that is possible. I try to eat the food I need. I do the things I should. But life's short, my friend, and I hate missing out on something good. This year I realized how old I was, he grinned. I haven't been this old before. So before I die, I've got to try some things that for years I had ignored. I haven't smelled all the flowers yet. There are too many trout streams I haven't fished. There's more fudge sundaes to Wolftown and kites to be flown. There are too many golf courses I haven't played. I've not laughed at all the jokes. I've missed a lot of sporting events, potato chips, and Cokes. And I want to wade again in water and feel the ocean spray on my face. I want peanut butter every day spread on my morning toast. And I want an untimed, long-distance call to all the folks that I love most. I haven't cried at all the movies yet, or walked in the morning rain. I need to feel wind on my face. And I want to be in love again. So if I choose to have dessert instead of having dinner, then should I die before nightfall, I'd say I died a winner, because I missed out on nothing. I filled my heart's desire. I had that final chocolate mousse before my life expired. With that, I called the waitress over. I've changed my mind. I want what he's having, only with more whipped cream. There's fact and there's truth. The fact is that in today's world, money talks. But the truth is, ice cream sings. It does. So sometimes it's all right to act silly. Sometimes it's all right to not follow the rules. We're going to sing a song, Imagine, in a moment. And today, I'd like you to consider that this might be one of those times when instead of imagining these lyrics, experience them. Sit there and be in a world without borders. Sit there in a world where to you there is no religion. Sit there in a world where we're all together living as one. Sit there and know in your world, be right this minute with no reason to kill, with there being no reason that you have to die for. And even if that being is just this much, it will be real, it will be fact, it will be truth in your life sometime. And today could be one of those sometimes. And sometimes is, like Bruce always says, good enough. Good enough. Sometimes. Jewel, thank you so much for being here today. Jewel's going to be next door. Yes, give her a round of applause. probably going to take a moment and pack up her bowls. But then Jewel's going to be next door. She has more bowls, bronze bowls. She has stuff about the workshops. She has a sign-up sheet for her website. And she's a great gal. Get to know her. She'll be there for an undetermined amount of time. So this is one of those sometimes that you can take advantage of. Let's stand up and sing Imagine, shall we?